European Union bloc has become a puppet of the United States, adopting every sanction policies of the U.S., following every advice of the U.S. and adopting every sanction the U.S. impose on any nation. This is very bad. So Germany has now decided to warn the EU about sanctioning China. They know what EU stand to lose if they continue to sanction China. Germany is afraid of the consequences, and rightly so. It's very difficult to impose sanctions, and to gild those sanctions is more difficult. You need more sanctions to gild sanctions. It's very bad, and sanctions often affect the country imposing the sanction. Stay with us to the end to find out what China is doing to stay ahead of European sanctions. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. The European Union HUI, grappling with the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, following Russia's invasion, has been actively discussing the imposition of a new wave of sanctions aimed at those circumventing existing trade restrictions. This ongoing discourse, however, Germany recently seen a significant development. Germany's warning against the inclusion of China in these measures. During a confidential meeting among the 27 EU member states, Germany emerged as a leading voice urging caution in this regard. The proposal under consideration extends beyond the immediate context of Ukraine and Russia, signaling a broader shift in the EU's approach to global diplomatic and economic relations. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. The 11th package of sanctions proposed since the onset of the conflict is not just another incremental step. It represents a pivotal moment in the EU's sanction policy, reflecting an evolving strategy as the war continues. Key among the proposed measures is the introduction of a blacklist targeting several Chinese companies. This move, significant in its implications, opens the door to potential future restrictions on EU exports to countries seen as undermining the sanction regime. Germany's stance, as revealed by various diplomatic sources, underscores a complex balancing act. The nation expressed concerns about the proposal's potential to extend the EU's sanction power extraterritorially, a move that Berlin views with skepticism. This perspective resonates with the broader need, voiced by several member states, to maintain a delicate equilibrium between enforcing sanctions and preserving international diplomatic and trade relationships. In a notable alignment of views, Italy supported Germany's approach, advocating for a focus on foreign companies rather than entire nations in addressing sanction circumvention. This position, shared during the closed-door discussion, highlights a growing consensus among some EU countries on the need for a more nuanced approach. This development comes amidst a broader context where companies from various countries, including Kazakhstan, Armenia, Uzbekistan, and Iranian drone manufacturers, are also being considered for blacklisting. The proposal, originating from the European Commission, the EU's executive arm, illustrates the widening net of the EU's sanction mechanisms. The German government, maintaining a cautious stance, has not publicly commented on these discussions. Sources from Berlin, however, have indicated a critical view of the EU's move towards extraterritorial application of its sanctions. This perspective is reflective of a broader debate within the EU about the strategic and ethical dimensions of its sanction policies, particularly in the context of a rapidly evolving global geopolitical landscape. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. As the European Union delves deeper into the intricacies of its sanctions regime, particularly with regard to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the role of Germany within this framework becomes increasingly pivotal. The German government's stance, advocating for a cautious approach in expanding sanctions, especially concerning China, reflects a broader strategic calculus that takes into account the potential ramifications on international relations and trade dynamics. The inclusion of China in the proposed sanctions list has emerged as a contentious issue within the EU's deliberations. The decision to target Chinese companies as part of the broader effort to clamp down on entities circumventing existing sanctions against Russia is not merely a tactical move. It is emblematic of a deeper strategic shift within the EU. As it grapples with the complexities of a multipolar world, where economic interdependencies and geopolitical interests are increasingly intertwined. Germany's warning against hastily expanding the sanctions to include China is rooted in a pragmatic understanding of the global economic order. As one of the world's largest economies and a key player in the EU, Germany recognizes the delicate balance that must be struck in maintaining robust trade relations while upholding the principles of international law and order. The German perspective, therefore, is not just about sanction efficacy but also about preserving the integrity of the EU's diplomatic engagements. Moreover, Germany's position reflects a nuanced view of the potential consequences of broadening sanctions. The concern about making EU sanctions extraterritorial is not just a legal or technical matter. It speaks to the heart of sovereignty and the norms governing international trade and diplomacy. By advocating for a targeted approach that focuses on specific companies rather than entire countries, Germany, along with Italy and other like-minded members, is signaling a preference for a more calibrated and strategic application of sanctions. This approach is also indicative of a larger debate within the EU about the long-term effectiveness and ethical implications of sanctions. While there is a broad consensus on the need to respond firmly to Russia's actions in Ukraine, there is also an awareness of the need to avoid unintended consequences that could arise from a blanket approach to sanctions. This includes the risk of alienating key global partners and the potential for escalating tensions in an already volatile international arena. The discussion around including Chinese entities in the sanctions list also brings to the forefront the intricate dance of diplomacy and power politics. The EU's decision-making process in this regard is not just about immediate policy outcomes. It is also about sending a message on the international stage. The bloc's actions are closely watched by global powers, and the decision on whether or not to include China in its sanctions regime will be seen as a barometer of the EU's stance on larger geopolitical issues. In this context, Germany's cautious approach is not merely a reflection of its national interests, but also a manifestation of a broader European dilemma: how to assert its values and interests on the global stage while navigating the complexities of international relations in a world where power dynamics are constantly shifting. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video and comment. The European Union's internal deliberations over expanding sanctions to include China in response to the Ukraine conflict underscore a critical juncture in the bloc's foreign policy. Germany's cautionary stance is a significant aspect of this debate, reflecting a deeper understanding of the intricate web of international relations and the potential repercussions of broad, sweeping sanctions. At the heart of Germany's concerns is the recognition of China's integral role in the global economy. China is not only a major trading partner for many EUA countries, including Germany, but also a key player in various international forums and supply chains. The decision to impose sanctions on Chinese entities, therefore, carries with it the risk of unintended economic fallout, not just for the EU, but for the global economy at large. Furthermore, Germany's apprehension about the extraterritorial nature of such sanctions highlights a critical aspect of international law and sovereignty. The concept of extraterritoriality in sanctions implies enforcing one's laws beyond one's borders, a move that can be seen as an infringement on the sovereignty of other nations. This approach could potentially lead to diplomatic tensions and retaliatory measures, complicating the EU's foreign relations further. In addition to these concerns, there is the matter of efficacy. Sanctions, while a powerful tool in international diplomacy, are not always effective in achieving their intended outcomes. The history of sanctions shows that they can sometimes have a limited impact on the targeted nation's policies, while disproportionately affecting the civilian population. Therefore, a targeted approach focusing on specific companies or entities, as suggested by Germany and Italy, could offer a more precise and effective means of addressing the issue of circumvention without the broader geopolitical risks associated with countrywide sanctions. Moreover, the EU's decision on China is being closely watched by other global players, including the United States, US, and Russia. It is a decision that carries significant geopolitical weight, signaling the EU's stance and strategic positioning in the ongoing global power dynamics. A decision to include China in the sanctions regime could be interpreted as an alignment with the U.S. more confrontational stance towards China, whereas a decision to abstain could be seen as a more independent, albeit cautious, approach by the EU. In this complex scenario, Germany's role is pivotal. As Europe's largest economy and one of the EU's leading powers, Germany's position on such matters carries considerable weight. German approach to the sanctions debate reflects a broader European perspective that seeks to balance moral and strategic imperatives with practical and economic considerations. The discussions also revealed the diversity of opinions within the EU, a union that prides itself on consensus building, but is often challenged by the differing interests and perspectives of its member states. As the EU continues to navigate the fine line between taking a strong stand against violations of international law and maintaining stable international relations, the debate over sanctions against China will remain a litmus test for the bloc's diplomatic maturity and strategic foresight. The EU's deliberations on expanding sanctions to include China in response to the Ukraine crisis, with Germany's cautionary stance at the forefront, reflect a broader debate about the role and approach of the EU in global affairs. This debate is not just about the immediate crisis in Ukraine, but about the broader principles of international relations, economic interdependencies, and the efficacy of sanctions as a tool of foreign policy. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.